Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another video. So I know I've been making a couple of Furina videos lately, but I made a video quite a while back talking about how she power creeps, and a lot of people argued and complained and said she doesn't power creep, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do that. And unfortunately at the time I didn't have a lot of information because we were going off of the speculated kits. So her original kit was leaked and then a new kit was released, so I went off of the second version of the kit. But there's a finalized kit which has been released, which I wasn't able to cover at the time because I was away on holiday. Unfortunately, I did make a post, but I just wanted to make sure I had all the correct information to give to all of you so you understood and you weren't feeling like you were being misled. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Furina, her role, how she helps teams, and what she does towards Genshin's meta and the buffs and obviously the changes that have happened in her kit. So I hope I can inform and make you feel reassured whether or not getting her or skipping her is the best thing to do for your account. Anyways, let's get started. Now, Furina as a Hydro Archon, she is obviously Hydro, so one of the strongest elements in the game. Now, Furina is going to be a sub DPS support. Now, she's not going to be a main DPS at all unless you get Constellations. Unfortunately, her C6 is her old C2 in her second kit. Now, her role is damage boosting. You might be like, what do you mean damage boosting? This is simply damage boosting, DPS boosting, not reaction damage, simply damage boosting, okay? So most of the HP drain and the fluctuation of HP within her HP mechanic in her kit focuses on her E skill. So that has been buffed, the HP drain has been buffed. Now, this is done through her animals, or her summons, should we say. Like Fischl has a summon for Oz, now how, you know, Yamiko has summoned for her turrets. She has summons of animals, and there's 3 animals and they have different percentages. Now, there's 2 animals or summons that have changed. One has stayed the same, however 2 have changed. There's one that used to do 2% HP drain and now it's 2.4% HP drain. And there's a different animal that is or was 3% and is now 3.6%. And this buff has changed between the 2 kits. And the reason why this has changed is because this allows Furina to deal more buffs and it's based on her HP fluctuation. This obviously helps because obviously certain things in her kit, which I'm going to talk about, have changed just to alleviate and make things feel a bit more balanced and allow people to not feel lackluster, but it's simply just for the buffs of HP fluctuation. Alright, now the cooldown for her E skill has stayed the same. It still stayed the same, nothing changed, nothing different. You know, we're fine. Okay, you can still walk on water, you can still be Jesus, alright? You can still walk from Inazuma all the way to Liyue if you want to. Alright. Now, her burst duration has a longer duration. Alright. The cooldown is 15 seconds. However, the duration is now 18 seconds. And as I said in the previous video that I made a while ago, her energy recharge, her energy cost is now 60 and used to be 70. Which is good, This means that you don't necessarily have to struggle trying to get ER, but we'll find out later on in the live stream how much energy recharge she will need. I reckon personally between 180 energy, between 180 to 220 energy recharge, obviously as a solo Hydro, but if you're doing double Hydro to get the extra HP percentage because of Hydro Resonance, then obviously you'll have a little bit less, but as a solo Hydro, we don't know how many energy particles she can provide without Favonius. Now, moving on to her burst, the main thing of her burst is her fanfare stacks. Now, fanfare stacks is what allows you to deal the additional damage bonus, right? That's what makes her the damage boosting character, her role in this game, okay? Now, the fanfare stacks used to be 450 pre anything crazy. That was our first kit, 450. That's what everyone was going crazy about. 450 stacks Oh my god. And it gave an additional, you know, 0.21% damage per stack, right? That's the damage bonus. So every stack, 0.21%, right? But because this is now the finalized kit, it's changed from 450 to 300, okay? And the damage per stack, the damage bonus, is no longer 0.21%, it is now 0.25%, okay? So this is a nice little change, nothing too crazy, but that does get better once you get more constellations, alright? So, regards to the fanfare stacks, the maximum output you had when you got all of the stacks was 95% damage bonus. That was insane, but unfortunately, because of the stacks and because of the regeneration and being at C0 and the buffs you would need, especially if you had Novelette or whatever, and people, you know, losing HP and regaining HP, because obviously healing gives you fanfare stacks, you wouldn't be able to get the maximum. It wouldn't be impossible, it would just be extremely hard, okay? But now, because of this change, it's now 75%, and this is more of a realistic target, and it allows you to not only, it isn't just doing crazy damage, it allows you to do more consistent damage with this change, which is lovely. I like having more consistent damage than big massive numbers which rely on crit or rely on chance. Being able to do consistent damage and allowing to your team to work well, and knowing that your team members can work and have good synergy, especially Furina as an Archon. If she had this problem, people were like, I don't really like Furina because she's not good, she's not consistent, her damage isn't reliable, there's no sustain at all. But this change is good, okay? Now, regards to, this isn't anything too crazy, but her burst damage used to be 30% of her max HP. This is her initial damage, so obviously when you release or deploy it, should we say, it used to be 30%, but now it's 20%. Obviously, it's not that big of a deal because most of her focus on her burst is her fanfare stacks. That is what the main focus is, as being a damage boosting role. Alright, now, enough of the burst, enough of the fanfares. We're going to move on to the constellations. So you can understand the constellations. I was hyping up C2 being crazy, how it regenerates and everything, and how it's so really good and all that stuff. Now, C1, obviously, it used to be 150 stacks. Now it is 100. Alright, I said that in the previous video, but I'm just reconfirming that so you understand. So C1 increases the stacks from 300 to 400, obviously because it's increased by 100. Now C2, I'm going to break this down so you understand how this is strong, okay? C2 allows you to rapidly increase the stack generation by 250%, which into terms of calculating it makes it about 2.5 times faster than the original regeneration, alright, or degeneration rate. 2.5 times faster, which is really good. Now, additionally to her C2, this is just a little thing for Furina, but she'll gain a 0.35% HP each stack, to each stack that overflows beyond the max limit, which is capping at 140%, which is nice. It's just a little thing for Furina, but mainly focusing on the stack. Increased generation rate. Okay, now C3 focuses on her burst level, literally just making it, if it's crowned, to 13. C4 helps with energy recharge problems. It just helps with the energy issues. Restores 4 energy every 5 seconds when hitting or healing the active character on field, which is lovely. Or just, you know, it's just a nice little thing, so it helps out with her energy. C5 just helps with her E-skill level from 10 to 13. And C6, which was the old C2, which people were hyped about, obviously it makes her an on-field DPS, and it allows her to have Hydra Infusion, But the thing is, she had a bit of a buff to it. So there's increased damage for her attacks. So the damage bonus, which is Hydro, was 15%, it's now 18%, and her normal attacks bonus has been buffed from 20% to 25%. So it's just a nice little thing for those who want to go C6. But obviously main focus is just C2. But overall, regards to Furina, if you're like someone who's a free to play and you're like, I want to get the weapon because it's pretty, just don't do it. Just no point. Okay, I'm not gonna stop you, but I'm just telling you, there's no point. You might as well go Constellations. You might as well just stay C0, get her free to play weapon, and just go for other characters that will help you with more synergy in the team than having a busted 5-star, but you're not having anyone who's gonna work well with her because you don't have any primos. Could you put it all into Constellations? But if you're someone who's been saving for Furina, Constellations are better than the weapon. C3 up to C3 is brilliant. C2 is like if you just want the little, like if you want the increased rate and you just want more damage and more boosting. But if you want to have the absolute best, then C3. Okay, C6 isn't needed, but that's only if you want an on-field DPS. But you know, the weapon passive is just terrible compared to the Constellations. The value of it is just so much better to just go for Furina Constellations than going for the weapon. And plus, to be completely honest with you, when it comes to losing the 50-50 twice in a row just to get the guaranteed weapon, using those primos and those wishes, you could have got yourself a C2 Furina in that time, depending on how lucky you are. Okay, now, with the best units and the best people to use Furina with, Furina in a team is going to help people who focus more on crit. Now, when I say crit, I mean just like, you know, who focus more on critting than having a stat value. Some people focus on stat values with HP percent or focus on elemental mastery, etc. When I say HP percent, I'm thinking more about Nilou rather than Yelan, because Yelan does require critting, obviously. Even though her attacks are based on her max HP, there is critting and crit damage involved in Yelan's kit. Whereas Nilou, it's not necessarily focused on crit that much, unless you're going more into the vaporized team for Nilou. But if you're going for Bloom, it's literally just HP. That's not going to help Nilou do a crap ton more damage because it's just focusing more on crit. That's how Furina works. She doesn't increase damage based on reaction. She increases damage just, you know, raw damage. That's what her job is. That's what she does. Okay, now HP mechanic. When I talk about the HP mechanic, the HP manipulation, because her HP fluctuates and the team's HP fluctuates, it allows people to use the brand new artifact set, which is in the brand new artifact set domain with the elemental skill artifact set. This means that if anybody reduces or drains or loses HP or has an increase in HP, they get an additional crit rate. Now this can max out to 36% crit rate. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister for me, but this allows you to make new teams. This is awesome. This is fun. This makes you try new things out. Previously, before I was saying, you know, how Furina might be locked behind not being able to do certain things, regards to freeze, melt, all those stuff, or vaporize, or hyper bloom, or, you know, any of these soup and hyper fridge and all these other crazy teams. Or, you know, Electro swirling. I'm not gonna lie to you, Furina, she won't even need an emote. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just putting this out there. As a person who owns Kazuha, has invested into him, if you don't own him, then that's unfortunate. Furina doesn't need, you won't need Kazuha, because a Nemo, the reduction of the shredding, the elemental shred, it just won't provide any more help towards Furina doing more damage. There's no need to have Kazuha. It kind of removes the need of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does. But that's also an exciting thing because it doesn't mean people have to rely on constantly swirling with Kazuha. It allows you to try new things, which is good. It allows you to maybe move away from the meta of using a Nemo and using Kazuha all the time in Abyss, and it allows you to try new things out, which I think is good because it changes the playstyle, it changes teams, it makes you do different stuff. Now, when it comes to building Furina, I'm mainly talking about her artifacts, okay? Obviously, you're going to want to use the brand new E skill, the elemental skill set. You're going to want to run as a F2P, alright, energy recharge sands, a hydro goblet, and a crit hat, okay? Because your energy recharge is going to be a problem, especially if you don't own the Festering Desire. That's a very OG weapon, very old, alright? Unless you get best in slot, then that's up to you, alright? Most commonly, people who have good energy recharge will have Favonius on certain characters, or will just have good, insane blessed energy recharge artifacts, or with, like, I mean, in substats. They're just gonna have ER. They'll go HP percentage, Hydro Goblet, crit, and in the event, if you have an insane HP hat that's got insane, I'm talking like 40 plus crit rate or crit damage, you would run HP percent, Hydro Goblet, and then HP hat. Only if you got insane crit. But I just want to wrap that up, and I just wanted to get that out of the way regards to Furina. I hope you've been informed, you've been educated a bit, and I hope you liked the video. So don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you all in 4.2. It's been a boy. Take care. Peace.